gonna try not to digress too much, but I wanna say that when I first thought of this event, I had gotten a mailing from Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, and it was at Christmas time. Imagine that, getting a mailing from Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers at the holidays, not too stressful a time. And I put it in the recycling. I'm not really a lawyer anymore, but a couple days later, I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my launch party. And this is not about me, it's not about the book, but it's about the book sort of being a conduit for conversation about mental health, wellness, taking care of ourselves so that we can take care of each other. It's about not being alone and sharing our stories. And so I thought I kind of wanted to see if I could do something with Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers. So I made contact with my newest friend, Judie Rush, with Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers, and kind of told her about what I wanted to do. And one of the things I wanted to do was donate a portion of the proceeds from my pre-orders to Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers. And I wasn't sure what that was gonna look like. And I remember saying, I don't know how that'll be and how big the check will be, but Judie told me some things that I hope she'll expand on here in a minute about ways that we can help this organization, which is a great organization for those of us that are working in a pretty high pressure job and can use that kind of support. So fast forward, I checked with my publisher about a week after the book launched, and I had sold 337 books. So that was kind of cool, and my royalties from those 337 books was roughly $1,000. So I am really happy to present a check for Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers for $100. And so for all of you who pre-ordered a book, this is partially your gift as well. And I'm just tickled about the whole thing. So at this point, what I'd like to do is turn it over to Judie Rush to tell you a little bit about Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers.
Can you hear me? Great. Hi, yes. Thank you so much, Debbie, for contacting me in the first place and sharing that gift. You are a gift, but of course, you know, we do take donations. So thank you so much. But being able to be here today is such a gift. I am the outreach manager for Lawyers Concerned for Lawyers. I've been in this job for less than a year, but I've been a volunteer for this organization for about 25. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it is Minnesota's Lawyer Assistance Program. We've been around for 47 years. We'll celebrate our 48th anniversary next month. We help lawyers, judges, law students, legal professionals, and their families. And so we have, our reach is broad. We help with anything that causes stress or distress. We're here today to talk about mental health issues, mental health issues run the gamut. We originally started as a program, a volunteer, peer-based program of lawyers who were in recovery, who wanted to help other lawyers recover from alcoholism. And now we assist folks with all types of, as I said, anything that causes stress or distress. And we define it that way so that people don't think, I need to be really ill to call, or my colleague needs to, I don't want to interfere with my colleague's life unless I'm really sure they need help, or my family members or whatever. But the reality is that we really help, we will help with anything. We are 24/7, free, confidential, statewide, we have a very small crew. We're not volunteers anymore. We have a crew of 4, but what that means is that we are always a phone call away, and there is always 24 hours a day. There's somebody to answer questions, whether you're a lawyer who's suffering from anxiety or depression. whether you're a family member who's concerned about your law students or or you're in a law firm and you're concerned about your colleague. I mean, we're there to, always there to talk. So we continue to provide the peer support that we've provided since the very beginning, which means that lawyers, judges, law students, and their legal professionals and their families have an opportunity to actually talk to people who've been there, who've experienced what they've experienced, and to have somebody who can be by their side. But in addition, we have, we're supported by lawyer registration fees, partially supported in that way, and we have an EAP, Sand Creek, that provides counseling, professional counseling. Everyone entitled to our services is entitled to 4 free counseling sessions per issue per year. So our reach, again, in terms of the services that we can provide, is very broad. We don't tend to do a whole lot of interventions these days, but we assist in getting folks to referrals. We do a lot of, we have groups on all manner of things that are of concern to lawyers and their families. We have family support groups, we have ADHD groups, professional groups, career groups, really whatever folks need, we're able to put together the sort of services that they need. We do a lot of programming in the community, and one of the wonderful reasons we're excited to be here is just that we run by referrals, right? I mean, by word of mouth. So everyone in this room is either somebody is either a lawyer, judge, law student. I don't know if they say law students, legal professionals, or excellent, or family members, or somebody who cares about them, because we all care about them and watch. And so we're here for you. And please let us know how we can help. Debbie wanted me to talk about how you can help us. I mean, we're all about helping you. We save lives, and that's a really powerful thing. How can you help us? Call us if we can help you. Call us if you're concerned about somebody. Call us if you are trying to figure out what to do for your monthly in-house firm, luncheon. Because we're happy to come in and talk. We do programs on. I think we probably have about 50 programs that we do regularly, and you can get free CLE credit. So I'm happy to talk. I have a little table over here. If you have questions, let me know. And thanks so much, Debbie, for allowing us to be here and sharing this time.
Totally my pleasure. My next guest is the reason we're able to have this party right here. I have transitioned from somebody who was in the, what do you call it, the top 10% or whatever, to starving artist. And so when I thought about having a launch party, I thought, well, I could have you all out to my place in the country, and we could have a cookout, and that'd work if y'all brought something, or we could do it in a space that is really nice and centrally located and has lots of parking. So I started to think about those spaces, and I recall that a friend and former opponent of mine had brought me here for lunch one time.
Well, administrators of justice.
And so I thought, I wonder if Bruce would be willing to sponsor my party. So please give a round of applause to Bruce Rivers. And by way of introduction, I've known Bruce since I think the late 90s in juvenile court when he was making his earlier appearances. And then we had the good fortune to have, I don't recall how many trials together, of which he won almost all of them.
Well, thank you for such a rousing introduction. And let me just say, it's a privilege to be part of your transitioning. defense lawyer. I've been doing this for over 25 years. And, the book itself seems like it's about making lemonade out of lemons, or whatever. And talks about addiction and family and different things. And then when I got my start, or even interested in criminal law, I was sitting in, I was driving an ambulance before I started chasing it. and I was sitting as a dispatcher, and all of a sudden the AG's office and some police officers were coming to search my dad's business. And my dad had a bad lawyer and just really horrible representation, and he and his office partner went to prison for Medicare and Medicaid fraud. Fast forward a few years, I got into law school out of that experience, and I know firsthand what it's like to see somebody go to prison. And I try a lot of cases, and I love what I do. If I get an acquittal, it's just like, making a wrong right. And so, Debbie and I, we've had a number of trials together, and we've had a couple. Well, then we had one homicide that, out of that experience, I have coined the phrase, "There's nothing like a good homicide between friends." But, she's a really excellent example of stability, professionalism, competence, and just knowing the big picture. For example, when she calls a witness, and the witness doesn't exactly see the witness in the courtroom that they're supposed to, it doesn't faze her at all. We just look at each other and grin. But we've remained friends over the years, and I really mean that comment about a good homicide between friends. A homicide can be a very, it's the most serious kinds of cases that you can have, right? And when you're in the heat of the battle, you can really start not liking the opponent. But we never actually had that experience. Partly because her buttons were always on the surface, I knew right where to push them. But every time I pushed them, it was with the eye to make her smile. And it's a privilege for me to call you a friend, and I congratulate you on your book, but we need a much bigger audience. We need to sell a lot more books. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. And my next guest is pinch hitting for, she's fabulous. It's just interesting how things happen. I had another guest who last minute had a conflict, and I thought, well, I guess I'll just have to listen to Bruce for longer to fill up the time. But then Karen Marion contacted me on Sunday. She had just finished the book, and I think she kind of liked it. And Karen Marion, I have known since 1996, when I was subjected to the first of what would be several involuntary transfers in my office, where I went from being a young hotshot prosecutor to working child protection cases. And Karen was one of the child protection workers at the time, and we just hit it off. I think we probably had a similar philosophy about those things. I was only there a year. I can't say it was the highlight of my career. I spent the first 6 months probably pissing everybody off, and then I spent the second 6 months trying to make amends. But Karen and I bonded, and then it turned out that Karen and her husband Robin were involved in flyball, which is the dog sport that I did outside of the office. And so, just to clarify for Judy, not everybody here is a lawyer or knows a lawyer. I've got a lot of people here from my other life outside of work, which involves dog training and dog competitions, and I've got some wonderful, wonderful friends from that part of my life. So Karen and I had this overlap, and even though we didn't see each other very often, every time we would see each other, we just always had such wonderful conversations. And I asked her on Sunday, do you think you might wanna talk about what you've been doing for the county? Because in the conversation that we had on Sunday, I learned what she's been doing in her time at the county. And so with that, I would ask you to take it away.
Okay, thank you for letting me be here, first of all. My name's Karen. So yeah, that conversation was very strange and great, and there may have been some tears, and there may have been like some comparison to a compass plant, and just kind of sticking through it and showing up over and over and trying to flourish where you are. More than trying, but flourishing where you are. And so I started Debbie's book last Friday, because Robin, who's here with me, and my kids all went up to celebrate Canada Day without me. Anyway, so I had time to read the book, and I thought it was going to be a memoir. Not quite a memoir. I thought I was going to learn a great story about Debbie's family, and it quickly turned. On page 109, you use the word in one sentence, and it says onward. And that is a word I use at work all the time. I will end an email, I will say, yeah, we've been through something, onward, let's go. So I was like hooked, and all of the intersections just come together. So what I do at Hennepin County, I'm still there, so I'll tread lightly. I'm still working at Hennepin County. I've worked there as a case manager, as an investigator, as a legal writer. So that was my intersection with lawyers, my closest intersection with lawyers. A supervisor in legal, and now I'm a manager in human services, where I've worked back in investigations and now more of the supportive role. And the supportive role is where this all kind of comes together. Because for the past 8 years, there's been about 4 of us in a department of 600 something who have been working on employee wellness and trying to make that even a topic that people are willing to speak of. We focus on first, secondary trauma. We have expanded that because of, quite frankly, what's happened in our communities over the past 3+ years. Just trauma, plain old trauma. Like everybody's dealing with something. The content of the work in Children and Family Services is obviously difficult, and I'm sure all the lawyer people have all sorts of content stories in their brains too. But the content of working face-to-face in the community is also very difficult. So what I told Debbie is kind of my platform. One of the reasons I've wanted to move around in the county is to have more context, and also hopefully to get a better and better place to hear my voice heard about the importance of caring for our workforce. Because without the workforce, whether we're social workers or social work whatever our role in Children and Family Services, or attorneys in the county, we have to be healthy in order to serve the residents, and that's really our role. So like I told Debbie, if I could get a workforce that comes into any agency, but my space is Hennepin County in Children and Family Services, if they come in and they're taught that it's super normal that every 2 weeks you have to fill out your Apex to get paid, it's just as normal to talk about what you're dealing with at work and share that, and share maybe to what extent you need to, what you're dealing with on the outside that might impact your work. And then the outside stuff, the dog stuff, I mean, I can't believe how it all just kind of connects. It's just ridiculous. And Debbie's always been this shining light, and I met her on the public service level of the government center one day, just randomly, and she's like, I just set my retirement date. And I was like, I'm so behind. So I set a countdown on my phone the other day for my retirement date. I don't know if it'll work, but she's my North Star in that. And I need to learn more about lawyers' concern for lawyers, because that nugget, which is definitely larger than a nugget, is what I want for our workforce. And it's not easy to do that when maybe on the daily people are pushed to tears because they want so much to do the right thing and to support the community, and the stress of everything doesn't always work that way. So thank you, and read the book. And then the very last, okay, so page 109 got me with Onward, but then if you haven't read it, it's like right at the very end. right at the very end, gets a song in your head and you'll be stuck
Oh.
forever. So I appreciate that, Debbie.
Thank you, Karen. And last but not least, another very old dear friend, Jean Burdorf. We came through the county attorney's office right about the same time. 92, you were a little earlier. Oh yeah, but fast friends right from the beginning, and it's been interesting because I knew that I never, ever, ever wanted to manage anybody. It was all I could do to manage myself. And both Karen and Jean took a different track in the county, and what I'm so impressed by both of them is that they were able to use their higher stature in the organizations to do good work. And that's why I was so glad to have Karen and why I'm so glad to have Jean, because, and then the intersection of dogs and work was really interesting, and now I'm gonna hand that right over to you to tell that story.
I will tell that story. So, Debbie and I have known each other for 30 years, and it is true, everything she said was true. I did take a different path. My last job in the Hennepin County Attorney's Office was as a manager, and in 2019, one of the deputy county attorneys came to me and said, "You have to have a division goal," and I blanked, and I'm like, I don't have goals. I'm not a natural manager. I can confess that here because I no longer in that job. And I thought, oh my gosh, and I love dogs, and so my division goal was to get a support dog for the organization. And I put that down and I sent it in to upper management, and I was like, they're never gonna do this. And I got a resounding yes. Like, this is a great idea, do it. And I was like, oh no, now I have to do it. So I did my research, I worked with our victim witness unit in the county attorney's office, and started to realize that there was actually a tremendous amount of science and support for the idea that dogs are good for people, stress reduction. They are particularly good in a courthouse. Preparing victims, witnesses, but also they have this sort of unintended benefit of helping employees reduce workplace stress. So that project took some period of time, but eventually we got all the way through the county system, got the approval. We had to change some ordinances so we could have a dog in the government center. So we got to do all sorts of interesting things, and then we had to get a dog. And I love dogs, but I only know one dog person. Really. So I called Debbie and I said, okay, we got a dog, but now what are we gonna do? How are we gonna train the dog? And I just handed the project over to Debbie. She ended up getting us our professional dog trainer, who trained our dog for 2 years, and it ended up being, without question, we have a facility dog in Hennepin County that works for the county attorney's office. His name is Barrett. I don't know if any of you have seen him in the newspaper or in the courthouse at all, but he is wonderful. He has so far exceeded what we thought he was gonna do. He has had upwards of 100 meetings with victims and witnesses, and getting ready for trials. He's done an absolutely great job, and I think actually probably the most value he has had is for the employees, helping employees through COVID. Through the stress of trying to try cases during COVID, which was horrible for anyone who was not in the court system. And Debbie wanted me to talk a little bit about how we got that job. I do want to say, so I want to put my plug in also for the book. I was one of Debbie's advanced readers, and I read it in a PDF form, and which normally I would have given up because it's a horrible way to read a book, but it was so fantastic that I kept going. And the reason I think Debbie asked me to talk is that I am a huge believer in wellness, and that you have to be taking care of yourself, as Debbie said, to take care of other people. That message resonates throughout the book. And actually I thought the book was so full of courage. I told Ted this, and just I've known her 30 years, and I was so surprised by how authentic and truthful she was in the book. I think everybody in the room will get something out of the book, but you will come away with the idea that it really is the most transformative thing you can do for yourself is be well. Start there, and then everything else can follow. So,
Yes.
there you go.
Yes.
That was my plug for your
You left out one thing though.
What did I do?
You did. When you were still in the county attorney's office.
Jean's a judge now, by the way, in case that wasn't.
But you set up a wellness committee.
I did. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I'm just gonna tell everyone here the honest truth. Debbie said she was gonna ask me questions.
I know.
And all I had to do was answer the questions. Here's the mic. I don't have planned remarks. Okay, anyway, yes, I did. As a manager in the county attorney's office, when we got the dog, the deputy county attorney said, we should have a wellness committee. And I said, should we? And she said, yes, we should have a wellness committee. This will be great. So we did start it, and the thing I think Debbie really wanted me to talk about was, we had a bunch of different committees in the office that were employee-led, and we sent out the very first email for the employee wellness committee, and we got 75 volunteers who wanted to be on that committee. In an office of 500 people, it was instantly, within one day, the largest employee-led committee in the office, and I think I'm not sure how active it is, I haven't worked there in a year, but it remained the largest, most active, and most productive committee. And what that said to me, literally on day 2 of the creation of that committee, is that there's really a thirst for people to work in organizations and be surrounded by people who adhere to Debbie's philosophy in her book, which is you have to be well and you have to take care of the people, take care of everyone else around you. And not unlike you, we focused a lot on employee wellness, physical fitness, all sorts of different things. But one of the things we ended with when I was leaving the county attorney's office is organizational wellness. And that if you are a person in management and a person who has some authority in any organization, it's also important you look at the structure of how you're doing work to make sure that you are caring about the people from the bottom up. And I think we did achieve at least some of that, and I hope the work continues.
Yes.
Okay.
I did want that point. So it's not my philosophy. It's what I believe in though, because I really believe that everybody in here has a story, and that if we're able to share our stories with each other, it makes us stronger, it makes us feel better. I don't know, I'm just very passionate about that these days. So because this is a book thing, I'm told I have to read a little bit, so I'm just gonna read a couple pages, so just bear with me. Although maybe I should go to page 109. That's astonishing, but, oh, and then the last thing, after I'm done, I have books for sale. We've got, I think, the means to collect money for the book. This is all, I've been outside of my comfort zone for a long time now, but I think we've got the means to sell books if you want a book. Also, I created this workbook, and at the time, it was for everybody who pre-ordered, they would have the ability to download a PDF of my workbook, which is called What's Your Story? And it's 12 questions for you to ask your parents, ask your friends, ask yourself. I really like it. And of all my newsletter subscribers, only 13 people downloaded their PDF, and I got into a mini meltdown about this. And I'm like, why aren't they downloading the PDF? What's going on? And I encourage everybody to have at least one person, maybe 2 or 3, that you can have your mini meltdowns around, and they'll just kind of set you straight. And so when I was having a little mini meltdown about this, a friend of mine said to me, people aren't pre-ordering your book so that they can get a workbook. They're pre-ordering your book because they want to help you. And I thought that was just so nice, but I still want you guys to get it. I have a few copies, and I also did this fancy QR code thing. That's all new to me, but if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to my website, And if you're not a subscriber and you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get this as your little welcome gift, whether you want it or not. All right,